Okay, this is the third of the series of me sitting in the cemetery. If that makes sense. Probably a lot of people will say, why would anybody go sit in an old cemetery? But there's a reason for it. I made the last video I put up last night. Again, I just had some extra time and I was being silly, and I put up the one about, I think I called it 12 Bells to the Witching Hour or something like that. And everybody seemed to get a kick out of that. And I related it to Halloween. I said something about, since it was near Halloween, we ought to get in the spirit. And that's the reason for coming to the cemetery. It's near Halloween, and people seem to like scary things, I guess, and things related to horror, and I don't know why people like that. I enjoy it myself. I got to thinking, you know, what is really scary? What scares you? And being a guy I'll be 64 next month, and I don't know if everybody is like that, but it seems that the older you get, the fewer things that you are afraid of or scared of. At least in my case, that's right. So what I did is think back when I was a child, when I was a kid, not just a child, but when I was a young adult, up to a certain point in my life, there were things that I was scared of, actually terrified of, I guess you could say, frightened of. And I have put several little unexplained things on here about ghosts and the paranormal and things like that, which I've said I don't really believe in that, but even the smartest scientists now think that we don't know all that goes on in whatever this is we're living in, a universe or something bigger than the universe, what we call the universe. They're even thinking that there may be other dimensions to where we are here that we have no way to understand and even comprehend or know about, other than they can almost prove that what we know and what we see is not all there is. So that that makes you think about the paranormal a little more. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Things that you were scared of. And what I want to do is name some things that I was scared of when I was a child or a young adult. Not so many things anymore. And maybe you can, here near Halloween, you can put an answer to this video. I'd like to see more of you make some video responses. To me, that's a lot of fun. If somebody puts up a video and somebody else records a video response to that video, that means a lot. So I'd like to see some of you do that. And if you don't feel good about doing that, at least make comments down there and tell the rest of us maybe some of the things you were scared of or maybe still are scared of, even as an adult. But I guess one of my earliest fears, of course everybody was afraid of the dark when you're a child, I guess. I say everybody, but afraid of the dark would be a starter. And when I was young, it was kind of a tradition in our family to tell old spook tales, ghost tales. And those things would just scare me so much. My mother would tell them, and some of my relations would tell those things. They would just make you stay awake at night, things like that. So I was afraid of the unknown for sure. But some real things I remember being afraid of, and one of these affected me my whole life, I guess still is affecting me. I had a very real fear of doctors, and especially dentists for some reason when I was a child. It was just a mortal fear for me to think about going to the dentist. I think about going to the doctor and getting an injection or a shot. I didn't even like the thought of it. I almost get sick when I knew I had to go to the doctor when I was sick, if that makes sense. And I think I might have got some of that from my brother. He was always really afraid. He was older than me, and I saw his fear of medical treatment. So I think I may have gotten some of that from him. But that stayed with me for a long time. Matter of fact, my fear of dentists was so bad that I avoided dental treatment till I was a grown man and had some pretty bad dental problems because I neglected my care of my teeth because I was so afraid to go to the dentist. And I know there's still a lot of adults that have phobias, that are afraid of dental work or afraid of doctors. But on the dental work, if you're a young person or a child or adult, my fears of what a dentist would do to you was much worse than what it turned out to be. I've lost that fear. I have that fear no more. I don't like pain. I do try to find a dentist that can treat me without causing a lot of pain. Nobody likes pain, but the fear is gone. I defeated that fear, and I think that's what we have to do is look at our fears and reason with them, and maybe talk to somebody else that's had worked their way through fears, and through that you can get rid of that fear. But I did finally get rid of that fear. Got all my teeth brought up to standards, and now I don't like to go to the dentist, but I don't fear it anymore. Same way with the medical treatment. I've had through the years had many serious operations. I won't go into those. Maybe one of these days in a video I might, but I won't go into those. But I've lost fear of medical treatment, and it's so much easier and better when you can defeat that fear. I guess another fear, when I was a child, on my mother's side of the family, there was a whole lot of sickness. And some people don't even still like to hear the word. But a lot of my mother's brothers, sisters, parents, and even my mother had trouble with different cancers. And it scared me so bad. I would hear them talk about who was sick and who was going to die, and I saw some of my relatives get sick and get in awful condition and die because of that terrible disease. And I really had a true fear of getting that disease, and fear. I didn't want to hear the word. I didn't want to be around anybody that was sick. I didn't want to hear anybody talk about people sick. So I really had that fear. And I guess you'd be kind of silly not to have some fear of getting a disease like that. But I guess I've worked through that, and it doesn't bother me as bad as it used to. That used to be a big fear, was getting sick. Goes along with getting medical treatment. But that particular disease was my phobia, my fear. And going along with that, I know fearing death, or fearing those that are dead, people that are dying, and people that are no longer with us. I had a terrible fear of that. Now you notice the camera change here, and that's odd that I started talking about death, and the sun went behind the cloud and it's getting dark here. Maybe there's something to that since I'm sitting in the cemetery. But I feared death, and I guess everybody has feared death. There was a point in my life where I saw things on TV or heard somebody talk about somebody had been killed, and somebody was going to have to go to the morgue and identify the body. And I just couldn't imagine myself ever being able to do that. The fear of, I guess it was a fear of a dead person, being around a dead body. I just thought in my mind I could never be able to do that. Just being around a funeral was very upsetting to me. And I know it was fear. Maybe fear and misunderstanding is what it was. But I've worked through that through my years too. I guess as you get older and you go through and see so much of things related to death, things related to people dying, members of your own family being sick and dying and going through the death with those, even that fear has subsided somewhat. You know, it's a dread. You never will see anybody get sick and die. But as far as fearing it and being able to think about it and talk about it, even down to my family and even myself, I think I've gotten beyond that fear also. So I won't hold this too long. I've probably talked too long already. And I'm sure there were some more fears along there, some minor fears and things. I've never had the fear of like heights, or a fear of flying, or fear of things like that, or fear of, snakes. I don't know if or spiders and scorpions, things like that. I don't know if it's a fear as much as it is a precaution that you know to be cautious when you're around those things. So I mean, this is a snaky area I'm sitting in, and has a lot of brush around, but I'm not sitting here afraid or fearful of what's here. If one came up, I for sure would not stay around it. But I don't think it would be based on fear. It would be based on good sense to not stay in a dangerous situation. So anyway, here close to Halloween, I thought that would be a good subject. What are your fears? There's some of my fears. I've probably left a bunch of them out. Maybe I'll think of some when I leave. But fear, again, back to the fear of death and being around cemeteries, it doesn't bother me at all being here alone in this old cemetery. If something walked up behind me in a zombie, a ghoulish face, or a ghost popped up back there, you know, I might feel some fear. But my understanding is, you know, some of those things may exist, but I think mentally I can deal with it if I say, like I said, I had several things that kind of were unexplained along those lines, but it doesn't cause fear in me when that happens. So I think I'll end this. What I've made about 3 videos sitting here, and just kind of, I'll move out of the way. You can kind of look in the background where I'm sitting here, and the old cemetery is just quiet as a dead doorknob, they used to say. No motion here, no anything here. A few mosquitoes, a little bit of a breeze, and that's about it. But anyway, I'll see you later.